You know, it's funny because I was on my way over here, and I knew that I was going to see, you know, my friends that I haven't seen in a while, and I started getting nervous about, oh, I wonder if I should start thinking of stories or memories now, and I couldn't. It just wasn't happening. If it was going to happen, it was going to happen naturally. But sure enough, I turned onto the street, and I walked up to the theater, and the minute I walked in the door, it all just comes flooding back.
This is where our love blossomed.
Mm-hmm. It's where it was born.
It was where it was born.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy to sit here right now.
I know.
In the dressing room. It felt kind of like summer camp being here. It felt like it was over the summer. We opened and we started previews in May. I remember that.
Having the opportunity to be in a small space such as the Atlantic is so incredible because it's just really about you and your performance, and that's it. And it's the opportunity, you know, to really create a character and create a role, especially just because there was no pressure here. This was just about us doing really good work.
To make it as real and as stripped down and just there in front of you as possible, I think that is really hard to do in most places, except for a very special space like this where you walk in and you kind of feel like you could be in someone's living room, but you're in a theater and you're also in a church.
The church feel, definitely.
It gives it this whole vibe.
I feel like the cool thing about starting off in this space is that this space was recreated for the Broadway production. And I think that because of that, we always felt so safe in this church, in this little theater. And then when we moved to Broadway, they carried the vibe of the Atlantic with it.
And it allowed the show to be as successful.
Yeah, because as like all the great reviews came in and people were praising it, no matter what, when we showed up at the Eugene O'Neill, it still kind of felt like we were performing at the Atlantic.
So many things pop into your head. It's like, oh, I remember the day that we walked off stage and we all had like stage blood on our costumes, and we couldn't figure out why, because nobody bleeds in this show. And we found out that they had done Martin McDonagh's show, The Lieutenant of Inishmore, right before ours, that it had all of this blood and guts flying everywhere. And it had gotten into the rafters and hardened, and then we did our show in the summertime, and so it would get so humid that it would start melting again. And stage blood was like raining down on us during some of these matinee shows.
The song Crazy by CeeLo had just dropped.
Leah played that
and
over
Leah
and
played
over
that
again.
song about 70 times in a row.
Yeah. And then one time she drove me home in her car and we listened to that all the way back to my apartment.
She literally drove you crazy.
Oh!
Thank you, guys.
All right, that's a wrap.
You guys have been great.
That I was doing, I'm done.
This was all dirt. You know? Yeah. Well, there's photos right there.
It was a very hard show to do every night, emotionally. I remember one night coming off stage covered in sweat, Jonathan's, not mine, and tears, probably some blood somewhere, and I just said, oh, I just want to do a comedy.
You don't miss my sweat?
I was going to say I still get your sweat, but that sounded really inappropriate.
Right, and then we'd have to explain the context, and we don't want to
that.
get into that.
So what plays do you guys want to do?
Oh, man.
What would we? I feel like we talk about this often. Didn't we say we wanted to do a play of Splendor in the Grass together?
I feel like we're getting a little long in the tooth for that.
Oy vey. That's for damn sure.
Senior year, I remember this girl coming up to me and being like, I'm so glad that I can finally talk to you, because I remember freshman year I was just really nervous and scared because I knew you were in Spring Awakening, and it was so odd to me to think wow, people actually sort of thought that we were on it at a different level in some way, but we were so just kids that we didn't feel any different. It just happened to be the surreal world that we were living in.
It was so groundbreaking in its time. And so for all of us who were between the ages of 14 and 23, to be working on a piece of theater that was so formative at a young age, I feel like it's really completely changed the trajectory of all of our lives. And it taught me what it meant to be like a real artist. And it taught me how to act.